Hey, my name is Mika Heiskanen, and life is a misaligned mess. Loneliness can make us feel like we're left behind while others are moving ahead.
I just want people to know me better, be more connected to me. You don't really know if people really honestly notice and care about you. Obviously people care about me, but it just doesn't really feel like it.
This voice recording was recorded on December 10th of 2018. I wasn't going through anything tough, but I was feeling lonely at the time. I really hoped someone would be there to hold a conversation with me, but there wasn't anyone there. I may have been around other people for a whole week, but I still felt alone. Days like these happen to all of us, and we all experience loneliness in different ways. Some physically, some mentally, and any other way you interpret it. So here's a little backstory of my experience with loneliness. So, when I was little, I was shy, but I was also pretty outgoing. But around grade 3 and 4, I didn't really have many friends, and I would watch other kids play on the playground. Around grade 6, I started talking more, but that was a cringy year. In grade 7, I was mostly quiet. In grade 8 and 9, I talked more, but it was mostly within a small group of friends. And from grades 10 through 12, I moved to a new school. And it was a fresh start for me to talk to more people, but I mostly hung out with the same groups of friends. And in university, I've talked to almost everyone in my program, and I always have someone to talk to. But one problem is, I live further away than a lot of these people who go to the same school. Now I prefer talking face to face, and people do start conversations with me then, but through text, it's another story. I'm usually the person who always has to start conversations, and I can only name maybe about 4 people outside of my family who contact me first. But a lot of the people that I text, if I don't text them, I could lose the friendship with them. But over the years, I've gotten used to it, to a point where it doesn't really bother me as much anymore. Now I'm very lucky to have consistently good mental health, but sometimes I do still feel lonely, knowing that there's not a lot of people who are out there who want to start a conversation with me through text. Not even a checkup. And to think that there are other people in this world who are struggling with it much more than I am, it hurts to hear. Now for the people feeling lonely, I've been through this struggle. I've cried about it. But getting over this part of my life just came to not caring as much anymore. And what I mean by not caring is maybe it's not being alone that's making me feel lonely, but maybe it's my subconscious need for attention, and when that attention's not given, that's what makes me feel lonely. Knowing that, I switched up my mindset into thinking that I don't need attention to be happy. This wasn't just a sudden decision, this was a gradual process. Accepting the fact and realizing the positives of being alone can make you more independent and become a whole lot of a stronger person. But being alone isn't just going to change by sitting around, but you have to go out there and go make plans with people. You have to start conversations with those people even if they're not going to contact you first. It's not going to improve by not doing anything. And for everyone else, I really recommend contacting people you haven't really talked to as much, and that's friends included. If you haven't talked to someone in a week, go and talk to them. Check in to see how they're doing, what they're up to. You don't know what these people are going through, and how much of an impact you can make in their lives just by consistently staying in contact, even semi-consistently staying in contact with them. You can make them feel a whole lot better. Make them feel that someone cares about them, that someone's there to support them. Make it a challenge. Every single week, talk to someone you haven't talked to in a week. But on a generation of fast connection, there's also the option of video calls or even phone calls. Seeing someone's face and hearing their voice can make us feel more connected to each other, rather than just a text on a screen. Now here are some personal experiences that some people shared with me. This personal experience is by someone we'll call number 1. I learned to be an independent person from a young age because of not having many friends as a kid. I didn't get along with many people because I lacked similar interests. For most of my childhood and middle school years, I had my own solo hobbies. I was a pretty unpopular kid until I went into high school. Loneliness taught me how to rely on myself and to be independent, but it's tough sometimes. I remember most of my summers as a kid were spent staying up till 7 a.m. just so I could sleep during the day and not interact with anyone, which developed into unhealthy habits. Loneliness isn't fun for anyone, and I really feel for those who go through it. And here is another story sent by number 2. Leaving home has been something that I've always wanted to do, but living in a small town would never bring me any dream jobs and joy. But as I am living away from everything that was familiar, I find it hard to connect with people and miss the genuine familiarity of friendship, family, and the overall feel of my old home. It's hard to rebuild a life once you have moved away and to bond with people the way you did. Who knew that what I've wanted my whole youth would lead me to the toughest emotional crisis of my life? Thank you number 1 and 2 for sharing your stories. Loneliness is felt in many different ways. Even when you're surrounded by hundreds or even thousands of familiar faces, or you're leaving the familiar behind. There's no one way to describe how loneliness feels. Sometimes loneliness can feel so dark that we don't even want to interact with the very thing that could cure it. But remember that everyone feels lonely at some point in their life. It's human nature. Doing nothing about it only makes it worse. Take steps to relieve the effects. Consistency is key. You are not alone, and you can get through this if you put yourself in the right mindset. I hope you take these things I said and use them for good. And go out there and stay in touch with people more consistently and more often. Thanks for making it this far into the video. It really means a lot. Peace. Gotta read my notes, 'cause I can't remember what to say.